my 7-year-old daughter told me something terrifying. Father, I saw a zombie. I was in the kitchen making tea when my daughter came surging in. She went through the indirect access so quickly, she nearly entangled the step. I poured bubbling water from the pot into a mug, barely turning upward. No kidding? Definitely. I did. Its face was all pale and screwed up. It was gross. Father! I set the pot back and got the milk. Murmured internally, I truly must be more cautious about what I watched on television at night. Rosie has a propensity for sneaking down the stairs in the evening, and last week she found me watching The Strolling Dead. Everything being equal, she's had zombies on her mind from that point forward. I continue to tell her they're not genuine. However, it doesn't appear to have an effect. Darling, what did we say regarding zombies? I scooped the tea bag out of the mug and unloaded it in the canister. You know, whether you continue discussing them, Daddy will cross paths with Mummy in the future. No doubt, yet I saw one. I know, sweetheart. However, I previously looked at the back garden 2 times yesterday, and I can guarantee you it's a zombie zone. Actually, no, not in the back garden. I didn't see it in the back garden. I had the mug half raised to my lips, yet presently, I put it down once more. I went to check Rosie out. Her hair was wind-cleared, and her little cheeks were red, as though she'd been running. Darling, I put on my best harsh, father's not cheerful voice. I will pose you an inquiry, and I maintain that you should be straightforward with me. Have you been playing along the way out back once more? I didn't actually have to pose the inquiry, since I definitely knew the response. Rosie is permitted to play in the nursery all alone, and in some cases, in the event that she asks us consent first, we let her ride her bicycle along the way at the rear of our home, the one that runs past every one of the neighbors' back gardens. Yet, that is all we permit her to do. This region is protected. However, nowadays, you can never be excessively cautious. There was a thievery several streets more than a couple of months back, and last year, somebody was robbed on the high road. Quite a long while prior, a couple of towns more than a young man even disappeared. That was a seriously lengthy way away from here, obviously. However, it made public news for a couple of days until the inquiry flamed out. Furthermore, it made a ton of guardians more careful. Rosie's aging now, and she's an audacious young lady. Yet, you must have limits. What's more, on a couple of events recently, Rosie's been crossing those limits, riding her bicycle farther than she ought to, not coming in straight away when we call her, escaping the back door when she simply intended to play in the nursery. As I watched Rosie now, I saw her face becoming redder. She turned away from me, down at the kitchen floor, and scraped her feet. Father, I just went somewhat way down, she said. I guarantee. I was visiting Mr. Henderson on the grounds that I saw him in his back garden. I made a proper acquaintance and took him for a leap, I moaned. So it was right there. Mr. Henderson was Rosie's zombie. Recently, it was the mailman, and the day preceding that, it was an alternate neighbor. I took a taste of tea and shook my head. Mr. Henderson was, in reasonableness, a preferable competitor over the others. The person lives all alone, and he looks around 100 years of age, moles all around his face, skin like an emptied expand. At the point when we talked over the nursery wall previously, however, he'd continuously appeared to be adequately decent, somewhat desolate. I could never have Rosie going round calling him a zombie. Pay attention to me. Darling, I realize you didn't go the distance or anything, yet I don't need you. I returned just after as well. Father! Rosie intruded. She was gazing up at me recently, blue eyes huge and arguing. I guarantee. Furthermore, I even said no when Mr. Henderson offered me a frozen yogurt, since I realized you could do without me taking stuff from outsiders. I opened my mouth to answer, then stopped. He offered you frozen yogurt? No doubt. However, I said no. Mr. Henderson truly maintained that I should come in and have one. However, I let him know I needed to return home, and afterward, I returned straight here to let you know I'd seen a zombie, and Rosie was chattering now, her voice humming like an engine. In any case, I'd quit tuning in. My psyche was as yet stuck on something she'd said a second prior. Mr. Henderson truly believed that I should come in and have one. I took one more taste of tea and grimaced. That wasn't great. I wouldn't fret the neighbors visiting my daughter, yet I could have done without the possibility of them welcoming her in, not without us there, not regardless of whether they were simply kind, forlorn elderly people. I decided to go around and visit Mr. Henderson later, and to let him know that myself. Sympathetic, obviously, however solidly. Eventually, however, I didn't get an opportunity. A couple of seconds after I'd had the thought, Rosie said something different, something that pushed all the other things from my brain and finished any thought I could have had about heading toward Mr. Henderson's home. She offered something that caused me to feel cold. Daddy, kindly don't stop me playing in the nursery. I guarantee I won't escape once more. I don't believe that the zombie should get me. Rosie, I won't stop you playing in the nursery. However, you need to make 2 or 3 commitments as well. To begin with, guarantee me you'll quit going around calling individuals zombies. Mr. Henderson might be old. However, he's not one of the living dead. Rosie scowled. I didn't really. What do you mean? You didn't? You just ran in here a second prior calling him one. No, I didn't. Mr. Henderson's not a zombie. I saw the zombie in his home, yet it wasn't him. I grimaced. I had the mug raised to my lips to take one more taste of tea. However, presently I put it down once more. What do you mean, darling? You saw another person in his home. Better believe it. The zombie. Father, I could see it squeezed against his little cellar window while I was conversing with him. Cold fingers ran up my spine. What? Better believe it. It was truly unnerving. Its face was completely slammed up and horrendous, and its mouth was open, like it was shouting at me. In any case, do you have at least some idea what confounded me most? Father, I attempted to keep my voice consistent. What? All things considered, I didn't understand children could be zombies. As well, I thought it was just adults. However, I surmise I should have been off base, because the one in Mr. Henderson's cellar very closely resembled a young man.